Yep. Les credits. Alrighty. 6 minutes per turn. That kind of checks out. There were some turns where I needed to figure things out and, fix my mistakes. Alrighty. Another Fire Emblem game crossed off the books. I did not write down my thoughts for this game. Mostly because I think my approach slash thoughts to it are pretty simple. Um, I know my I don't even know what it's called. My first impressions. I was gonna be like preliminary thoughts or something like that. My first impressions with this game was that I I felt like it was very Fire Emblem-y, but they also changed a couple of things that seemed like it could be a good idea, such as no more weapon durability. Um, there was something else as well that I'm forgetting. But anyways, my overall thoughts on this game is much like with most other Fire Emblem games that I've played. I enjoyed this one. So, like, kind of surprisingly, but also not surprisingly, because I always seem to enjoy playing Fire Emblem games. Um, I think this game had some cool ideas. I can see also maybe how this game goes into like other games in the sense of I think this game came out in like 2018 or something like that. So this game setting the maybe like the blueprint for how games like Fire Emblem Engage might approach certain systems or learn off of the systems of this game. Um, I I liked kind of the, we'll call it, blueprint that they went off of. Guessing this volume is probably pretty loud. Let's turn it on. I gotta mute it for the YouTube VOD anyways. Um, let me see. Yeah. Um, for the story, I thought the story was okay, but I think Alm's story was the actual story of the game, and Celica just kind of felt like she was there a lot of the times to not really uh move things forward in a really nice way. Like her in her meetings with I'm gonna call him Jado because uh I forget his name, but like the Duma priest guy, Jeddah, that's his name, Jeddah. Um, his like their interactions together are just not. It kind of ruins a lot of the like the good things that Celica builds up throughout her story, and it kind like it makes me dislike her character a lot more than I really should, and that's a super unfortunate thing. Um, but yeah, I liked that Alm's story in particular, like, actually had some meat into it. It was, I mean, for me, it was automatically going to be, one of them was part of the other kingdom, the other one's part of the leftover kingdom. But they threw in a nice twist there of, oh, Mila has green hair, so we're gonna give Alm green hair, and then we're gonna bring him to Rigel, which is supposed to have red hair. You know, the bait and switch. How did Delphia get 24 victories, but some of these other people didn't get that many? I don't. Oh, maybe victories is how many enemies, or like confrontations that they. Okay, battles is how many times they run into an enemy and like fight them, and victories is how many times they killed the enemy. I'm guessing because Conrad was not in for 53 missions. But anyways, um, what was I? Yeah, like Alm's story. His stuff went in a nice direction and definitely felt like the main focus. His character got to experience things that are actually important. Losing family members, having to kill his own family members, learning the secrets of his past and whatnot. Whereas Celica was just like, I'm gonna find Mila, and oh, I'm I'm the ruler of this country now. I'm gonna find Mila, and then it's like, oh, do I sacrifice all my friends so that I can rescue Mila? Uh, which has been told to me by this one guy that is not trustworthy. Yeah, I guess I will do that. And it it's not a very good path for her, which is unfortunate because her team, I think her team was better. But maybe not. Let me see. For gameplay mechanics and design, I gotta say, I did not really like the dungeon delving aspect of it. It was an interesting idea, but my problem with it is just that one, it doesn't necessarily feel very Fire Emblem-y, and I'm not sure how you make it Fire Emblem-y. But also the what's the good way to say this? Like the incentive to fully explore those dungeons may not actually be the highest. Um, and that's primarily because of the weapon system in this game. Granted, like maybe losing 4 speed because the weapon weighs, 4 is not as big of a deal as it sounds. But it's just kind of, I don't know, it's kind of a, I want to say like counterintuitive is the first word that comes to my mind. It when when I find a weapon that's better than my current weapon in terms of like power or might stat, I want that weapon to be an upgrade. But when the weight goes up and maybe like the hit rate goes down, I don't feel like getting more might and maybe even more crit chance. Heck was that? Is worth it. And so I just kind of kept people with weapons that had low weight for the most part. I'm hearing crazy noises. Um, I'm keeping people like low weights for the most part, just so that I can keep their speed up, so that they can attack twice. Because as you can see towards the end there, like a lot of the enemies had some pretty high speed amounts, and they were using dread fighters like crazy. Um, um. Oh, so like that coupled with if you're going into a dungeon, you're probably not going to find a lot of quote unquote unique weapons and whatnot. So it's you're kind of incentivized just to get through the dungeon as quickly as possible. Um, Also, Mila shrines being, I think, only in dungeons. We'll say effectively, hey, digital hearts. That one was not my my preference either. Especially there was that one section with where two enemies were spawning new like units that could run around the map, and like I think I spent maybe an hour or an hour and a half fighting those enemies, uh and then going back to the Mila shrine and then coming back and then fighting those enemies again just so that I can move on to the next um section. That was super annoying, and I definitely like it if they just let me upgrade my units whenever I want. I'd also really like it if I could see the upgrade paths. I can understand why they wouldn't do that in a game like this because it's a very linear upgrade path. But I didn't know that. I was really close to looking it up, and I probably should have, but I didn't. So one character, I wasted a lot of time getting him up to level 17 before learning that, oh, I could just get the bow archer at level 10 sniper. It didn't seem like it would go that way. But I guess getting up to level 20 is a little crazy, so I guess I get it. Um, Anything else for gameplay mechanics and design? I feel like there was something else that I wanted to mention. Oh, okay. So the equipment in this game. Oh, and magic. I gotta remember to get back to magic too. The equipment in this game, I'm not necessarily sure if I'm a fan of the system that it has. So, like, every character can equip one item. Oh, also, I'm gonna forget this, so I just gotta mention it now. I don't like the exhaustion food mechanic thing. That I could do without that. But going back to the items, um, every character can equip one item, and for a lot of those items, they're kind of just not. How can I say this? Like some of them are maybe impactful, but other ones are not really doing anything. Like I let's say I equip a an iron bow. Like that effectively just gives me 2 might as far as I could tell. I don't think the hit rate really comes into play that much, but maybe I'm wrong, whatever. Um like I equip an item and I get two attack for it basically. Which is not that's not very exciting. I think the highest that I saw without upgrades, I think, was 4 or 5. And upgrading items in this game is without grinding is not exactly an easy endeavor. And even with grinding, it's not an easy endeavor. So what does this sound like? 4, 7? So I don't really know why items were so low in power, I guess. And I mostly feel that way because if you just like take off like you don't need those items to attack with those units. Um, what's his face? Alm, he had the bow capabilities when he upgraded to the hero class, but he didn't need to have a bow equipped to use the bow. And I admittedly like the idea of equipping different weapons to cover different situations. Um, and that was one of the nice things about other Fire Emblem games, where, yeah, there was durability, but you could carry like 3 or 4 weapons and you would have characters be multifaceted in the scenarios that they could overcome. I could have an armor slayer and kill armored units, or I could have a Levin sword and attack from range. I could have a silver lance, or I could have a javelin, and that kind of stuff was cool because it opened up a way more strategery, we'll say. Um, and I do feel like the strategy elements in this game suffer because of how items are approached. It's not that big of a deal, but it exists. Um, magic. Magic in this game is kind of interesting in that you learn magic spells by leveling up rather than like equipping them, and that makes me think that, like, oh, magic is probably the strongest in this game. But if you think back to the equipment dilemma of items don't necessarily give a lot of power to them, and then you think about mages who don't get a item to equip that gives them more power to do things, they're just even further behind. And so you get to a boss like Duma at the end, and it's like, where are you going to find a mage that's going to have more than 30 uh or like more than 20, more than 25, between 20 and 30 magic? Uh I don't know if you're going to be finding a mage that can do that. Now there were some like rings and things like that to improve things, but you can't upgrade those rings. So uh, I feel like magic in this game is actually probably the least powerful of everything, which I think is kind of crazy to say because magic was really like, it started off being really, really good. I think archers in this game are probably the best, and I think that might be true for most Fire Emblem games out there. I could be wrong, but archers in this game just seem to be way more impactful. The range not being enemies not being able to fight back against them. Their only real weakness were armored units, which you kind of needed mages for, but you could still kill armored units without mages. If your archers are good enough. So if there was a future where I played this game again, I probably lean heavily on archers and utilize mages a lot less. Tobin being a mage was a terrible idea, but he got physic, and that kind of actually worked out in the end. What can I say? What can I say? You like this one a lot? Was refreshing in a way in having in a way, and having in a more classy Fire Emblem feel after Awakening and Fates, and you do like Awakening a lot. Awakening, that was also the 3DS one. Um, I remember a lot of good things being told about the Awakening one. I think I beat that one. If I'm remembering that one correct. I don't know. Yet Celica gets the cameo power, waifu and all. Yeah, I know, huh? I know. That's very interesting. Do I like Shin Megami games? I do not. I do not. Um, I don't think I have anything else to say about this game. Uh, if the developers are watching, I think this game goes in a very cool direction for Fire Emblem games. Um, I I like some of the system choices and experimentation here. While I don't like the dungeon delving aspects, um I admire the the experimentation, I guess. Um it's it's nice that you can still have a game with the core gameplay and still try new things and hopefully accomplish new things, and that influences games in the future, and all the good stuff helps the franchise be less stagnant and stuff. But yeah, to reiterate my overall thoughts, I enjoyed myself with this one. It was a Fire Emblem game, and Fire Emblem games tend to do that, where I struggle and don't want to play them ever. But once I start playing them, I have a good time. It's just getting me to play them is the hard part. Um, I think that is all that I got. Think I have anything else? Can't think of anything else. So I guess I'll end my thoughts here. Ooh, hold on. Let me press a button real quick. Maybe something happens. Hooray! Oh, on this title screen, they were kids, I think, and now they're grown up there. It's kind of nice. Foreign trading ship. Anything else that I wanted to talk about? Abilities were cool. These dread fighters are insane. Probably the best class in the game. Um, I don't think I got anything else. All right, so yeah, I'll call it quits here. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it. I have some points to apply. I'll do that after the stream. We'll be back tomorrow, 7 a.m. Pacific time, and we will play something. I don't know what that will be. Will it be a viewer requested game? Which is, will it be a viewer requested game or will it not be? We'll find out. But with that, see ya the next time I see ya. Peace.